So I wanted to talk about the relationship between incels and feminists. Tonight I was just thinking about this. I've been meaning to do a few videos, but I keep forgetting the topics. But I want to talk about the relationship not just between the people, but between the ways of thinking. I do see inceldom as a sort of ideology or a pseudo ideology. It's more of a temperament, really, or an attitude. But this sort of spiteful, some would call some would say misogyny, this hatred of women or spitefulness of women, out of what they see in the papers, out of these sort of legal loopholes that are left for them, the whole idea of alimony and those sorts of things. That is sort of an ideology, a pseudo ideology. And the feminists, the way that they treat incels is in two ways. This is totally self-contradictory, but it doesn't stop them. They have selective empathy, tactical empathy for incels, where they will say when they want to push certain ideas related to men's health, and the way that the way they want to help us, the way they want to reach across the aisle and really help us men, open up. They always say the same thing, right? They always say we need to open up. It's a shame that men can't express their feelings, completely disregarding the fact that men don't vent the same way women do, and we really don't get anything out of being heard unless we get something back out of it. Like when I confide, in a friend, I want a solution. I'm not just talking to talk. I want him to offer me a new perspective and a way out of the situation. Whereas women will get therapy just from speaking and having someone listen, But they don't get that. They don't get that men and women are different at all, which makes sense. But they'll say that. But then if you get in an argument with any of them, and I know I'm generalizing, but you all know this is true. If you get in an argument with one of these women, and they're not even necessarily feminists, just women in general, it seems, they will immediately attack your manhood. They will talk about how you can't get laid. They will call you gay. They will accuse you of having a small dick. And it's funny. It's funny because I see these arguments, these insults again and again and again and again on all these threads where, a guy dares to question a woman's power. And it's you get to the point where it's like you're so fucking predictable. You're just a parrot. You're just saying what every other dumb bitch is saying. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. My point is, I think that the whole thing is what incels are is fundamentally misunderstood, because, and this is something I heard Stryker talk about actually a while back. He said, most guys that are into that like cam whore stuff, the guys who pay women to take their clothes off, they're guys that got burnt out on porn, and so they decided, because that wasn't satisfying them, what they needed was an emotional fix, not a sexual thing. So they started paying these women not for them to take their clothes off, but for the interaction, the sort of emotional attachment, the satisfaction they got from actually talking to a girl, even though it's via text message, by chat, and it's really sad. That is really, really fucking sad, and that is a huge problem, that we have so many men like that there are so many women who are making a living off doing that. This is literally an entire industry of misery. It is an industry based on alienation and misery of men. And you don't. There's the old canard of, a woman should sleep with the awkward kid. Give the weird high school kid a hand job, and maybe you'll stop a school shoot. A school my gamer. I don't want to say that, but you stop one of them. And in my experience, I don't think that's true. I think that these guys need an emotional thing, an emotional fix, not a sexual fix. And I don't want to give any doxy examples, but I worked with a girl who was very nice. She had a boyfriend, and I never wanted to impede on their relationship. I never wanted to date her. I didn't, even though she was gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous, but she was so sweet to me, and in ways that she didn't need to be, and not in a weird flirt. It was sort of flirty, but you could tell she wasn't being sexual about it. And it was, just to have that emotional, even though we were in a relationship, I didn't interact with a lot of women at that time. I was kind of chubby. I was not very good looking. But that didn't matter. She liked talking to me. She liked my personality. We got along fine. And you know what? That made the day so much better. Now, I wasn't in I wasn't in the headspace where I wanted to do, pull a Roger, but it did help. It did make me feel better throughout the day. And I think that, for guys that are so starved that they have to turn to this cam whoring stuff for any sort of emotional, satisfaction to fill that empty void. I think a lot of those guys could benefit from that sort of treatment that I received, that I thankfully received from a very nice person. And I think that really is the fundamental issue here, is that we don't need women. Well, I mean, we do need women to be more pious. We need them to, stop being so. We don't want them to be Stacy's. We don't want them to be roasties. Right? I get that. I'm totally on board with that. But I think that more than that, we need beautiful women being positive. And you can say that's vain to say that they have to be beautiful, but let's be honest. Let's be perfectly honest here. A compliment from a beautiful person means a lot more than 10 compliments from ugly people. And that's just a fact. You all know it. I know it. Don't deny it. But we need beautiful women being kind. I think that alone does a lot to stave off the cultural machinations, the engineering of these incels and the dangerous, cancerous forms that often manifest in sort of a violent outburst, a flame out. Yeah, we do need something to sort of stop this, but it's annoying that the only way that feminists will ever engage with it is to either use it as an insult or to use it to push something that they want, some weird feminine interpretation of how men work. It's so sad and it's further proof that these femoids can't reason, they can't think for themselves. They have to turn to this horrible ideology, and then we let these people vote. But call me a misogynist. I don't give a fuck. It's true. You know it. So that's my thoughts, and I think that it is, again, because both of their interpretations around sexuality are essentially around relationships are sex based. That is a very materialist way of looking at it, and I think that it really does come down to a lack of spirituality in a sense. When people talk about how the lack of God, the lack of religion in society does degrade it. Look at the way that incels and feminists look at relationships. Look at how toxic both of them are. Why is that? Because the only thing that they value is sex. They don't value relationships, emotional attachment, love. None of those things really resonate with them. So, and they're going to be sad, and they're gonna, there've been women, Miley Cyrus, coming forward saying, and now they have a good man. I'm less of a feminist, and old feminists that never settled down coming out and saying, this was terrible and we hate hitting the wall at 40. But ultimately, unless we start rationally sitting down and looking at our problems, this is just going to go on in perpetuity, and it's never going to stop. There's always going to be violent, outbursts like that, and you're always going to have these supreme gentlemen, and you're always going to have these women, capitalizing on it until real men take the reins once again.